Welcome to your full moon report in Libra, eclipse season, eclipse portal. It's a big day. We're going over everything. I have a lot to unpack, and we've got a lot of ground to cover. Unlike the traditional readings that you're getting here, I wanted to explore from a different angle. So we're going to go over the larger cycle that's associated with this specific cycle. So we're going to look back 18 years. 2.5 years, and then a little bit forward, and then look at both Gene Keys and I Ching to discover the larger message here on what's actually unfolding right now. But first, a few announcements. My name is CanDace. I'm the founder and formulator of Louloudi Skincare, where we focus on herbal remedies, all natural holistic skincare, and self-discovery. Astrology is all about learning how to get on your journey, enjoy it, and bite that elephant just a little bit at a time for this big dream that you have. It keeps you on task and it keeps you on your clock. Follow along. You can subscribe, 20% off the website on all first purchases. Tap, like, do all the stuff. First off, I wrote a book. It's called Make a Vision Board, a Manifesting Collage Book. I wrote this book to help other vision boarders like me really hone in on their dreams to help fulfill them. It's fun, it's beautiful, it's available for pre-order. You can get it in the show notes. It is chock full of absolutely outstanding imagery, journal prompts, how to manifest, how to make it a ritual to really bring your vision boarding to just like another level. Check that book out. If you've been following the series, either the ET series or the Hollow Earth series, I have more coming with that. I just picked up a ridiculously crazy book. So I'm going to be implementing some of those things. Follow along, and you can find those in the playlist that you'll see here. If you want to know more about manifesting with the planets, that article is coming soon, and that is a part of what we're working on today, is learning more about our lunar cycles so that you can follow along with the story as you grow and progress. So stay tuned, subscribe to my website, Louloudi Skincare. You'll get 20% off of your first purchase. Everything there is incredible blogs, herbal remedies, skincare. You can deep dive on the site. I've got some great articles there. So what is a lunation cycle? The moon goes through several cycles simultaneously. We know that every single month there is a new moon and a full moon, sometimes another new moon, the 13th moon, that goes through the signs every 28 days, where we have a progression and it moves through the different houses in the chart. Every 2.5 years, because every single 9 months, this moon comes back to this house that it was in before to complete the lunation cycle there. So around the same degrees, you will have a new moon, you will have the first quarter, the full moon, and the last quarter. And what this cycle is, the new moon represents planting that seed, this idea of something you want to grow. You start considering it and planting the idea on earth. By the first quarter moon, you start taking action on that idea. The full moon gives you all the light that you need to see where you are with this idea. And then that last quarter moon is the culmination, the true reward point, where that moon is waning back to new to start a new cycle, and you get the reward from that. So it could be that you started a project and this is when you got financial gain, or when you get to see the finished project. And sometimes these projects, because they say take so long to complete, because they're big journeys in our life, they'll go back through that new moon cycle and you'll plant more seeds for it and then go back through that cycle again. Every 2.5 years, that moon is hitting these degrees. Every 18 years, this quadrant, it's almost like it's repeating that same cycle in this very specific section of your chart. And if you really think about it, like cleaning up, it makes sure not to miss any part or any facet in this part of your chart to ensure that you are gathering all the tools that you need to complete whatever mission you set out on. When we look at the moon from these particular phases, instead of just as individual action points in our life, we start to build a larger story around what's happening, and we can really start to project in very direct ways, knowing what moon cycle is coming next. Now, everybody, you need to get into your time machines. We're going back. Write these dates down, screenshot. I have the lunar cycle here. Look through your phones. That's a great way to get information that you're looking for. It'll help you drum up your memory about this time so that you can remember what was going on. First date we're looking at is 9/25/2022. This is the date of the new moon in Libra that sparked whatever you are seeing in your reality now. What a time, okay? First of all, what we need to talk about is that the nodes have not shifted yet at this time. We are still within the Taurus Scorpio cycle, death, life, okay? Leading away from having renewed ourselves towards this new version of abundance that we are looking to ascribe to. But at this time, we have everybody is retrograde, okay? Pluto is still in Capricorn, it's retrograde. So the transformation that you're trying to make, you don't know where that's going yet, and there's no clues as to where that could be. You just know that you want to transform. Saturn is retrograde in Aquarius. The communication about this structure we're trying to build, this new thing that you were trying to set off, no word is coming from it. We're still in the planning stages and throwing out all of the blueprints. Neptune, your deep dream, is kind of being re-examined. You're trying to go deeper here with this retrograde to see what you actually want, what's kind of connected to your heart space. Jupiter is retrograde in Aries. So this level of expanding the self, the principles of who I am, they're behind. We know we want to expand. We don't know where we want to go with it yet. Uranus, the planet of change, is in Taurus, retrograde. We're trying to shift the earth, but we're stuck in one place. I like to think of it like all the time it takes for a mountain to grow, the culminations of the changes that happen underground before everything peaks up and collects, all the rocks divide. I think of Uranus in retrograde like that. It's like all of that action that happens that takes a long time to form. Mercury is retrograde, and Mercury is in Virgo. So it's like you're trying to get your checks and balances in order. All of the communication around this is stuck on how you're planning to go about this transformation to get something more out of the ether, the world, for yourself, and you are feeling it. This new moon is sparking this new desire, this lack, this confusion, this disarray of information, I think is what sparks that new transformation that we want to visualize, see, live in, be a part of. That was the beginning of this cycle. Look back. What did you want then? How close are you now? That's what we're going to get. June 26, 2023 is the next date. That is when our first quarter moon, our action started. 9 months of gestation, 9 months of waiting for things to align so that we are in the right time space to move forward. That's what this cycle represents, okay? By the time these 9 months have passed, a lot has happened. We're still at the precipice of moving to the lunar Aries, lunar solar Aries Libra eclipse. But what's actually coming up, what's actually happening is that everybody has started going forward at this time. So we are able to see new ways, and it gives us a hint on where we're going so that we can take that first move. Going through the planets again, first, Pluto still retrograde. Think of Pluto being retrograde as being on honestly, like when you think of a caterpillar transforming into the butterfly, that center stage when they're in the cocoon, it's not like the caterpillar goes into the cocoon and then grows wings and comes out. He completely dies. He turns into goop. He's no longer a form at all. Then he rebuilds everything to come out with wings. So it's not like an additional jetpack is now on his back. He died. He came back to life. So this is still in gestation. You aren't there yet. Saturn is also retrograde at this time. The structure hasn't shifted yet. It's now moved to Pisces. So Saturn was in Aquarius, retrograde at that new moon. Communication about that structure took a little bit to implant. It took 9 months. You got all of the information that you needed. And then it moved to Pisces. And that's where it still is today. Retrograde in Pisces is almost like building a sandcastle, and you know that the tide is going to wipe it away. But you are now in this place of the dream world, or the creation space where true structure takes form. And I like to kind of sometimes think of Pisces as like the womb, with Aries being the birth. So something new is coming from this lack of understanding on structure. All of the parts are still forming together, but they're moving. Jupiter and Uranus are direct now, and they're in Taurus still. So they are shifting the earth, the actual 3D visualization of what you are trying to accomplish. You're growing it and you're changing it. And you're going to be growing it and changing it and growing it and changing it for a while, a long while. Mercury, no longer retrograde. Mercury is in Gemini. Again, you got some communication that let you know which direction you can go in, to kind of start moving towards this larger vision. Okay, now we're on to March 25th. Today, the planets they're all moving forward. No one's being left behind right now. All of the things are going forward. What you see today or during this period, I like to think of these eclipses kind of being maybe a week before and a week after you start seeing all of the culmination. And if you think of the moon being a light bulb at night, when it was new, you were in the dark, you had no idea, you were just in this desire phase of what you wanted without any explanation, maybe based on lack, determining what you needed. Then you got a little bit of light from that first quarter moon. So it's like someone turned on the light in half the room, and you can see how to get to that place through the dark where the light is. Now we're at the full room is lit up. What do you like about the room? What don't you like about the room? Where do you feel you need to align now based on what you're seeing in this visual space? By now, we also have the nodes shifting. So not only do we have this scenario where Libra the moon is in Libra, this full moon is literally highlighting. I think of Libra as judgment, balance, communication with friends, family, peers, everyone in your 3D reality, how you relate to them. Where are you with judgment? Where are you with balance in your life? That is Libra. And the nodes are asking us to release whatever karmic ties are associated with this area, which I think is very poignant if you look at current history. These things are showing us where in the full light, kind of like, wait a minute. If you just look at what's been going on TikTok, if you look at like us learning more even just about the justice system or the laws that are in place in our reality, and we are looking at who we may have looked up to before as our peers, in like the celeb space. I wouldn't even go as far as that. We are learning that we kind of have to move away from this format and go more towards where the sun is in Aries, of the soldier, the growth, the I am, to realign our principles for this next phase. It's all about getting into balance with who you want to be and calling that forward so that you can get there. You have to name it, claim it. Now that you can see everything around you clearly, how do you fit into that? Take a minute here to remember that It's a cycle within a cycle within a cycle, right? So we looked at the 2 stages that this moon was in prior. Let's look all the way back to 2006, because that's the last time we had a full moon in this degree in Libra, 2006. Okay, so we're going back to March 15th, 2006. That's what you see in this outside circle. I'm here to tell you that whatever you are working on now, it was percolating even back then. You were seeing something in the vision that had to move you on your journey in the right direction to get you here. So the first thing we want to look at is that Pluto is actually in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is like the wildfire. It keeps going. It burns the earth. It gets things ready to start anew. It's all about going out and getting it. And you are transforming in this direction of your life. You are learning how to really go after those dreams and become who you need to be to achieve them. Jupiter was in Scorpio. Imagine the energy of Jupiter in Scorpio. This retrograde. Looking at this in the swamp, we've talked about the swamp before. Scorpio represents the swamp. Scorpio represents death. Scorpio represents expanding this area. Is all about going into the deep to seek those desires, right? You're expanding what you want. Saturn is in Leo retrograde. Leo is the planet of the king, the warrior, all about the look at me, I am great. How am I great? Saturn's going to figure that out. It's retrograde here. It's restructuring your creativity, what makes you unique, vibrant. On top of that, we have the nodes in Aries and Libra. So it's like it's not like we went back in time, but this like time section is kind of reawakened in us in a new way than it was back then. Uranus and Mercury are in Pisces. Remember, we're calling Pisces the womb. So you're gestating, you have this new idea of change, and this you're communicating about it. And the sun is in Pisces too. We've got this Libra full moon with the sun in Pisces, not Aries. It's looking at the womb and it's highlighting it. These are it's creating, building, making these new changes in this area for you to give birth to, looking forward now compared to where you were. How old were you? What were you doing? Why were you doing it? Where are you now? Where's the comparison? Where's the growth? How close are you? Do you feel like you're meeting the desires that even you 18, 19 years ago had? Or do you feel like you have new desires? Where do you fit? What deep thing has regrown or resparked or invigorated in you during this time? And how close were you to it then? And so what's next? Okay. The next time we're going to be triggered, this lunation cycle will finalize, complete. You'll see something, another peak and a larger valley, of course, setting off a new desire so that you can keep working, keep moving, keep going on the journey. But we got to start looking at December 22nd, 2024. You've got from now till December 22nd, 2024, this year, the end of the year. This is the last 9 months in this cycle for this area of your life. You want to make sure that you are in alignment with this so that you can see the culmination that you desire. Now, during this time, we will have Uranus going retrograde. So again, and I think of that as like we are, as humans, when we reach these peaks, we're so ready to take the next climb immediately. And I think that when we start seeing the results of this, this moon cycle, Uranus is going to ask us to not change anything for a minute, to slow down on the change, and consider what the next part of the climb is going to be like, and take some time to enjoy this journey that you've gone on. Saturn still in Pisces. That structure and that change, that structure for what you need, that discipline, that larger goal is still in this gestation place. I think sparking more creation, more blueprints, more planning that you still have to do. So this is probably not going to be, you'll probably have a new seed planted from this come next new moon, next in 2025. But right now, you're kind of in the middle of that structure building. Pluto will still be in Aquarius, 0 degrees, really sparking transformation on the information that you bring in and share with your larger community. It's got to be responsible. You should be focusing on your voice, why it matters, how you speak, what you speak about, so that it actually reaches the people's ears, hearts, and minds, okay? I haven't talked about Venus and Mars at all because that's just like your passion and what you love, and that's been whipping around your chart the entire time. But for this, I will say that Venus will be in Aquarius, so that transformation that you're going to be taking place in with Pluto, Venus will be there looking at what you love about the information that you're bringing in, inspiring you, helping you communicate. The sun will be in Capricorn. So you will be focusing again on that climb, but stay where you are on this mountain and go around it instead of just up it. Okay. Mercury will be in Sagittarius. So it is going to be really hard for you to want to slow down because your mind is going to be charging forward with new things based on what just happened. And this is really going to be about, Mars will be in Leo. So your passions for this creativity will be on fire. That's a really good look for this culmination that you're coming into. Jupiter will be in Gemini, communication heavy, expanding the communication about whatever thing that culminates. And Neptune will also be in Pisces. I should have covered this one before, that dream. It's still in this womb phase. I think when you give birth to this dream, when Neptune moves into Aries, that's a big deal. It's literally giving birth to this deep, 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 deep desire. Okay. So that's what we're going to look forward to. Obviously, I will do a reading in December so that we can stay on track. But I want you to think about all of that because next we're going to cover the I Ching and the Gene Keys. And that's going to give you that final cherry on top on how to move. The coolest thing about doing this Lunar Family series is because the Gene Keys and the I Ching stay the same for the entire cycle because they cover 6 degrees of each part of the circle. It's really honing in on this one very particular section. And when we can look at it from this view, we have a much better idea of what's going on here, okay? Now, here's the crazy part. In human design, this is connected to our manipole. This is all about synchronicity, timing, being in alignment, the true heart desires, and how we are the magnet for the experiences, and that it really comes down to what's for you won't miss you. And the lesson behind this, I'm going to tell you in a few stories because I feel like you'll really point. So in the Gene Keys, this is to me, one of the best passages in the Gene Keys. And it's about, this is kind of funny because if you just read in pop culture about, scientists discover that people can smell rain. I thought we all knew that, but thanks science. But it goes with this. So in the olden days, when there was a drought and the villagers needed rain for their plants, they would call a rainmaker. It'd be a man or a woman, or like a witch or a sorcerer that they would have come into the village they think these people know how to bring rain, okay? You come here, make it rain so that our plants will grow so that we don't starve to death. We need rain. So a good rainmaker made it rain, period. Think about this as your job. What do you bring with you to the job? You might bring cards and put on a whole show. You might believe that there is a dance that brings on the rain. You might be willing to show up and perform and have all the villagers perform the rain dance to bring down the rain. The good rainmaker knew that they did not bring the rain. They can't bring rain. Rain comes when rain wants to come. The good rainmaker knew that they just had a good sense of where it was going to rain. And if they showed up there, it usually rained. So they just had to show up to where they thought it was going to rain. And this is how each of us are moving. When we are in alignment, we don't have to bring all of these extra components to what is our natural gift, right? The rainmaker has a natural gift of knowing when it's going to rain, or sensing that the rain is coming, or being called to this place. And he's like, every time I go on vacation, it just rains. I don't know. I mean, I can't go anywhere. I'm called to these places that rain. And that his job is to just be sure that he can hear the message, that he needs to go somewhere. He doesn't have to bring the sticks. He doesn't have to bring the drums or the poles, and he doesn't have to do a dance with the villagers. He does that for them so that they believe it's going to rain. Okay? And the gene keys behind this is all about seriousness. And that's the shadow of this gene key, is seriousness. And how serious do we take ourselves, right? So as an example, a serious rainmaker would think he probably brought the rain, and would be making Excel list of the things that he was going to bring to this rain ceremony, and ensuring that he's checking the list and making it twice, and might be stressed about going to do this thing when it was naturally going to occur. If it was already, all of these things were already going to happen, how would you move knowing that when you showed up, it was already going to rain, right? And it kind of brings me to remembering and going back in my chart, 2006 is the year I moved from Chicago to New York. And it wasn't me saying, I'm going to move to New York, and then gathering all my things and tallying my money and doing all of this hullabaloo to move me from point A to point. No, honey, I got kicked out, went to my mama's house and was like, I can't stay here, begged for a job. And as messy as you could think it was, I landed in New York, was plunked down, okay? Now, somehow I knew my destiny was to be in New York, and I was there for 8 years. And I would not be who I am today without that experience. How could I have transitioned? How could I have shown myself some grace? Knowing that all of these things would culminate anyway, how could I have moved? I definitely wouldn't have been as panicked as I was. Definitely wouldn't have been as consciously aware of where I thought my hiccups would be, and adamantly trying to deny anything that was going to go wrong. I could have just let go and surrender and had gotten there already. I would be doing you a disservice if I did not go over the I Ching this month, okay? The I Ching for this goes right along with the gene keys, touching our hearts, right? This is so good to me. It's all about pushing forward. You've planted the seed at that new moon, right? And we think, you don't plant the seed and then it just comes out of the ground. Think about the time it takes for that seed. It needs water. It needs moisture. It needs darkness to even start to crack open. And then these stems start shooting down, right? The roots start shooting down into the medium. And then the stem, this gentle stem, has to forge itself up through the soil. It's got to go around rocks. It's got to, depending on what's down there, it's got to not be eaten by a worm or a slug or whatever is in the earth. It's got to shoot through the earth. That's the hardest part. Then you've got this tender little sprout that the freezing rain could make it all go away. And the gentleness of the seed to the sprout phase. It is the most important part of the manifestation journey. And where you are here determines how strong that plant will be that you grow. Read each of these lines. Each line represents a degree. And the moon went through 1, 2 to 5 degrees here. So we're covering this section of your manifestation. So I'm going to freeze these frames so that you can read each and every one of these lines. And you are at the 5th line going to the 6th line. We will be at the 6th line by December. to get to that right place, you have to focus on Aries. I am. Who are you? Only when you know who you want to be, you call it out, you claim it, can you then ensure that you can set yourself in the right place, and you will know that you are there when you can experience that I am presence everywhere. That is when you will know, okay? From here until April, everything is a sign, okay? We're in a portal. Utilize the symbology. April 8th will be it's birth. It's Aries, it's birth. That's all I can say. And there is something new coming from that conversation. This portal, you're going to end up in a different place, okay? If you feel me, double tap, like, subscribe. I'll see you guys April 8th for this next version of the report. We'll be looking back at that lunar cycle. In the meantime, Louloudi Skincare, 20% off. Book, pre-order, subscribe, like, follow the patterns to allow me to, okay? You guys have a fabulous day. Happy new moon again. I'll see you soon.